the general point that I really wanted to get off with this video was just to say that Black people have to see themselves as Black because that's how everyone else sees you. You know, don't think just because you're African or just because of this, you know, all these Africans being naive about racism. This is what people really feel about you. Peace, you guys. I'm back doing another video. I know it's been a while. I know my hair is even cut, but I wanted to talk about this issue today. I've been hearing a lot of things about it, especially with some of my Nigerian friends. I just was in Nigeria for some months, so I had a couple things I wanted to mention about this. Number one, what's the situation? We have a Ukrainian students. We have Ukraine and we have African students in the Ukraine because they wanted to go there to go to school. But all of a sudden, a war breaks out because Russia decides to invade Ukraine. So now here we have some African students, men, women, even some children, caught in limbo because they want to be able to leave, but the Ukrainian officials are not allowing them to leave. They're only allowing Ukraine citizens to get access to leaving first, right? Ukraine women and children, so is what I'm being told. So number one, question I keep hearing everybody ask is, why are they there? What are they doing there? Why would you leave all the way from Ghana? Why would you leave all the way from Nigeria just to go to Ukraine somewhere to school? It's a couple reasons for that. Number one, people always educate in different places. So we have to understand that people always educate in different places. Me, myself, I'm from California, San Diego, California, and I chose to educate in Alabama, which is way far across the country. O'Shea Jackson, as I've seen some people mention, is schooled in Poland. You know, he's from my state, California. So people school in different places. It happens all the time. They may have something at a different school or whatever the case may be. Okay, so that's the number one thing, right? Generally, people school in different places. I met people. I went to the University of Texas at El Paso. I met people from Africa. I met people from Asia. There was different people from everywhere in my school, right? And it wasn't some big school. It wasn't like Harvard, right? Number one. Number two, there's issues with schooling in Nigeria. I can speak on Nigeria. I can't really speak for the other ones. You know, I was just in Nigeria for some months and I talked to people like whenever they're trying to do their schooling, there's issues. There's always some strikes. I have a friend that went to the University of Kano, actually gave me a tour of the University of Kano. And if you follow my channel, I'm going to show you some of the things I saw in Kano, some of the pictures and you know, some of the stuff I saw when I was in Kano. But he was off school. They just got back on the school. Why? Because there was a strike at the school. This constantly happens. The government doesn't pay the teachers and the people that are working at the school, so they have to strike and shut down the school in order to get the government to pay. And this happens all the time in all the schools all around the country. Another issue some people would bring up would be insecurity. There is some insecurity with the schools. There's some attacks on schools. Different attacks, Plateau State, Kaduna. There's been different attacks on schools, not just the small children, but also at the universities too. So you have to consider insecurity. You have to consider the fact that sometimes the schools aren't running, things like that. So this drives some people to want to study abroad. Other than the fact that it's a good experience to study abroad. There was a thing that's called an exchange program that people used to do, where you go and you have people trade. My close friend, he had a German student live with his family for like 2-3 years. He went to school there. He was going to high school and he learned and he got that experience as a German in America to learn from different things and live with a Black family. These are good things, right? All right, so that's why some people will be there. All right, so the main question everybody is saying, or the main statement that people are saying, they're saying that this is a racist attack, right? Now, the question is it racist? And the reason this is, what really makes me want to talk about this is it's like all of a sudden there's this big anti-racist brigade. It's like every time something happens, there's all these Black folks want to be the first one now to say that it's not racist. You know what I'm saying? Everybody wants to be the first one to say that Black people is just complaining and it's not racist. But in terms of this situation, it's actually, from where I sit, it's inconclusive, right? It's inconclusive technically, because if they're saying, okay, we want to make sure we take care of the Ukraine-born citizens first, then we'll take care of the other citizens next. I can understand that. But the only thing about that is why I say it's inconclusive instead of saying it's not racist, because the reality is, if I was a gambling man, because I'm not there, but if I was a gambling man, if a Polish white lady and her kid, or if some other, some white lady and her kid from Latvia showed up, do you think, honestly, in your heart of hearts, do you think that they would stop a Polish or another white non-Ukrainian, right? And in do you think they would stop them, right, and drag them off of a bus or a train or a plane that's on its way out and say it's only for Ukraine? Or do you think they're singling people out because they're black. If I was a better man, I would say they single them out because they're black. This is just the way it always happens. You see what I'm saying? And then they'll fall back on the technicality that, oh yeah, it's, it was Ukraine. That's how I feel. That's just how I feel about it. From my experiences and what I've seen, what I hear about people who school in other places, because typically, moving to my next point, typically Africans in general and like these people who grew up in these black countries that don't live with white folks don't understand that racism exists. They don't get it because of where they are. Everyone's black and the people always, everyone's black. So you don't have to consider this stuff. Right. But I see now that Africans are understanding that these people will treat you different. And I've heard some people saying like, well, they're going to take care of their own citizens. What do you expect? It's Ukraine. But the reality is the reason black people are so surprised is because black people, we wouldn't do somebody like that. It's just not our nature. Like, we wouldn't do you like that. You know what I mean? Ask yourself this question. Speaking of Nigeria, right? So we got Nigerians in Ukraine being stopped for other Ukraine citizens. You got to ask yourself a couple different scenarios. Number one, if something happened in Nigeria and there was some white people in Nigeria, do you think the Nigerians will drag a white person out of a bus, drag a white person out of a train, drag a white person off a plane to put their Nigerian citizens, since we acting like this is just nationalism? Do you think they would do that? Right? I don't. You know what I'm saying? I don't think they would do that. And then and in another situation you have to look over, if there was an American citizen in Ukraine right now, an American white girl that went up there to study in Ukraine and she was in that same line, you think they're gonna go in there and take that American white girl out, take out that American white girl and replace her with the thing because they're gonna say it's Ukraine citizens only? Put the white American girl over there with the Africans. Hell no, they're not gonna do that, right? So the point I want to say is like, not only do Africans got to realize that it's a racial issue, right? And another notable point, they didn't ask for like which country, like, oh, okay, where are you? Nigeria? Okay, if you're from Ghana, you can come on, but if you're in Nigeria, no, they just put them all in one box, right? But the point that it should be real, it's not just that it's a racist thing. I believe it's racist because of the status of black people, right? So because the status of black people is so low, right? They just see all black people as so low that they can just do anything to you. I don't even think they considered it. Like, I think if it was an American, especially a white American, they would consider it. You know what I mean? So that's just how I feel. I can't, like I said, if I have to make a definite answer, is it racist? I can't particularly say, because I can understand them saying, okay, we want to allow some people from Ukraine, but I still think that they should do, even at least let a small amount, especially like a woman and her child. It's like, okay, if we got 100 seats, only 5 will be for foreigners per ride or something like that. You get what I'm saying? What's my other point? Yeah, that was my issue. So yeah, all these people, they want to say it's pride. But the truth of the matter is, we have a low status. They're always going to be disrespect black people. They see everybody as the same. There's many different reasons that people travel abroad. And the general point that I really wanted to get off with this video was just to say that black people have to see themselves as black, because that's how everyone else sees you. Don't think just because you're African or just because of this, all these Africans being naive about racism. This is what people really feel about you. And the key is when something happens, right? When something goes down, if everything's fine and they can look down on you and you're in a position lower than them and it doesn't matter, nothing's on the line, they can fake a little bit, even though they'll still abuse you. They can fake it a little bit. But when something goes down, know that this always is what happened. Or if they just feel like abusing you, this is always what will happen, man. Period. This is always what will happen. So, in the end of the day, what my conclusion on if it's racist? I think there's some racism going on. I think if it was a white person, probably wouldn't happen. How do I really know? I can't really say for sure. So, call it what you want. But I'm not going to be the, part of this whole anti-racism thing where every time something happens, we want to be so quick to always point out what's not racism when there's so much racism that happens. So why do I'm not going to be a part of that. I'm going to say it probably is. And, it needs to be a wake-up call to people. I hope that more and more Africans are seeing this. And when the next time something like this happens, I hope more and more see it again. Because in the end of the day, when it goes down, you don't have anyone but yourself. And if the African nations are in such a weak state all the time, you can expect stuff like this to happen all the time, that people will always look down on you, to never be nothing important. And you can expect to see this again and again and again and again and again. But in the end of the day, I don't think that's right. I think they should be, I understand them giving priority to them, but they should give some, you shouldn't just leave people there just because they're black. You know what I mean? I don't think black people would do that. I don't think they would do that. I think they should give at least some of them some type of passage, that's just how I feel about it, and like I said, I can't say it's racist, but if I was a gambling man, I'd say it was. I wouldn't expect to see any white lily white girl from New York out there studying Ukraine, I wouldn't expect to see the same thing happen to her. And that's just the way I feel about it, man. Peace.